Hi Year 2, welcome to today's writing lesson. Now if you've got your writing from yesterday handy, then you need to dig it out because we're going to add to it in today's session. If you didn't do yesterday's session, no worries, you can still join in. Let's go. Our learning objective for today's lesson is to use the conjunctions but and when. Firstly, let's just recap on who our famous explorers are. Can you remember any of their names? Well done. So we have Roald Amundsen, Marco Polo, Ernest Shackleton and Ellen MacArthur. Now, if you didn't watch yesterday's writing lesson, or if you haven't done the history activity from the topic grid yet, you will need to do a little bit of research on one of these explorers because you'll need that information for your writing. As I said earlier, our learning objective today is to use the conjunctions but and when. Our learning objective yesterday was to use the conjunctions and because. Now Tom says, what's a conjunction again? I forgot. Can you remind him? That's right, conjunctions join together two different parts of a sentence. Here are some examples of conjunctions that we're practicing using this week. Because, but, when, and if. Today we're going to focus on using but and when in our writing. Now, as I said about conjunctions yesterday, we naturally use these all the time when we speak, but today we're going to try and put them into our writing. So let's take a closer look at when we would need to use each conjunction. So starting with but. We use but for joining two ideas when the second one is different from the first one. So I decided to stick with the pizza theme and I've got two sentences now about what I like and dislike. Miss Lloyd likes pepperoni pizza. She doesn't like Hawaiian pizza. Instead of two separate sentences, I can put them together with the conjunction but. Miss Lloyd likes pepperoni pizza, but she doesn't like Hawaiian pizza. So I've extended the sentence and made it more interesting and detailed by using that conjunction but. It also flows better and sounds like how we would naturally speak anyway. Now let's look at when. Now, when can be a little bit trickier to use, but it also adds information to a sentence by telling us when the sentence was relevant or true. So let's look at the sentence I've got written down. Miss Lloyd was annoyed. There's no detail there. You don't know why I would be annoyed, when I was annoyed, or anything. Now, I told you I was sticking with the pizza theme. Miss Lloyd was annoyed. The oven broke. So those two sentences are directly related because the reason I was annoyed was that the oven was broken and I couldn't have delicious pizza. So, again, we can connect these two sentences with a conjunction. Miss Lloyd was annoyed when the oven broke. We're going to practice this together now and try using when and but in sentences. You don't need to write anything down, you just need to help me work out which one I need to choose. Remember, we're writing about a famous explorer in writing this week, and I chose Ernest Shackleton. Like yesterday, I've got some notes written on my notepad, but I need to write them in full sentences and try and include but or when. So, my sentences so far are: Shackleton was disappointed. Roald Amundsen reached the South Pole first. But I want to connect these two sentences using either but or when. Let's try but first. Shackleton was disappointed, but Roald Amundsen reached the South Pole first. Now it doesn't work because we use but when we're using two ideas that contrast with each other. Let's try when. Shackleton was disappointed when Roald Amundsen reached the South Pole first. So we need to use when as it gives us the information about why and when Shackleton was disappointed. Let's look at my next few sentences. Shackleton would not be the first man to reach the South Pole. He didn't give up on his dream of Antarctic exploration. Again, let's connect those two sentences with a conjunction. Let's try when first. Shackleton would not be the first man to reach the South Pole when he didn't give up on his dream of Antarctic exploration. Do you think that sounds right? Let's try but instead. Shackleton would not be the first man to reach the South Pole, but he didn't give up on his dream of Antarctic exploration. Which one do you think we need to use? Well done, it has to be but. When wouldn't really make sense as a conjunction in this sentence. Let's look at this final one together then. Shackleton's new idea was to be the first to cross the Antarctic continent. Sadly, the expedition didn't go to plan. Which conjunction should I use? I've chosen to use but. Shackleton's new idea was to be the first to cross the Antarctic continent, but sadly, the expedition didn't go to plan. Now it's time for me to get writing. You don't need to write anything down just yet. First, I want you to see how I lay out my work and what I write in my paragraph and help me purple pen it. Then, after that, you can get writing. So, as we spoke about yesterday, this is a non-fiction piece of text, which means it's about real people and real events. One of the features of non-fiction texts, as we know, is to use headings and subheadings. So, I'm going to write the subheading, when and where was the expedition? In my paragraph, I'm going to give some basic information about the expedition. So when you do your writing, you might like to say when and where the expedition was, or maybe why the explorer chose to go there. I don't want you to go into detail about the expedition itself, or if anything went wrong, because we'll talk about that tomorrow. Now I've written down my paragraph using the sentences that you helped me put together before, using but and when. Remember, our learning objective today is to use those conjunctions, so we really want to try and include but and when. Let's read it together. Remember, I may have made a few mistakes or forgotten to do a few things, so you need to keep your eyes peeled as well. Shackleton was disappointed when Roald Amundsen reached the South Pole first. He would not be the first man to reach the South Pole, but he didn't give up on his dream of Antarctic exploration. Shackleton's new idea was to be the first to cross the Antarctic continent. Sadly, the expedition didn't go to plan. Now I would like you to pause the video and have a look at what you would green for great or pink for think. Have I included those conjunctions? Have I made any errors? What do you think? Well done. Okay, thank you. I'm really glad I've got some green for greats and that I've achieved our learning objective of using when and but I've got a few things to change. So firstly, I need to change Roald Amundsen. I need to change the first letters into capital letters because they're a name, so they need to be capitals at the start. What else do I need to change? I've got a pink arrow there showing I need to add a word. I forgot to put my conjunction. So instead of a full stop, I'm going to connect the two sentences with but, cross out my full stop, and change that S into a lowercase s as it's no longer at the start of a new sentence. And the last pink I've got is in didn't. I forgot to put my apostrophe for the contraction. Okay, we've practiced our conjunctions, we've looked at my work, and now it's time for you to write your next paragraph. So I would like you to write the subheading, when and where was the expedition? Remember, you're giving me some basic information and key facts about the expedition, but don't go into detail about what actually happened or whether they were successful or if there were any problems, because we'll talk about that in tomorrow's lesson. So for Chile 1, I would like you to write your next paragraph about the explorer of your choice using and because, which we looked at yesterday. That's if you don't feel confident about using the conjunctions we've looked at today. Chile 2 is to write the next paragraph, but try and use but and when, like I have. And Chile 3, you can try and include the conjunction if as well. As I said yesterday, we've looked at this at school before, but it was quite a while ago, so don't worry too much because we'll be focusing on if in tomorrow's lesson. Brilliant job again, well done everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow where we're going to add another paragraph to our writing on our Explorer. See you then, bye!